Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're tearing down the walls, well, the virtual walls, to look at the anatomy of a digital fortress. Now, we aren't talking about a castle made of stone and mortar. We're looking at a breathtaking feat of modern engineering designed entirely to defend against threats you can't even see. It is a constant, invisible war fought entirely in the realm of pure logic. And honestly, the stakes could not be higher.
So, here is our architectural blueprint for today. We're going to build up our understanding layer by layer. We'll start with the invisible digital war, move into the vault for mathematical encryption, construct our walls and sentinels, examine the architecture of resilience, shift over to the zero-trust paradigm, and finally, look ahead at the future battlefield.
All right, let's dive right in with part one, the invisible digital war. Picture this, a single bit of data. In the vastness of the digital universe, it is literally no larger than a whisper. Yet, that impossibly tiny speck holds the power to unlock global financial systems, expose the secrets of millions, or even completely cripple a nation's power grid. Now, imagine that this tiny little bit is the prime target of an adversary with unlimited resources and an arsenal that gets smarter every single day.
It really begs the question, right? How do you protect it? How in the world do engineers build a fortress around something that exists only as abstract electrical impulses? It is the ultimate paradox, defending the invisible against the insidious. Well, to figure out how they do it, we actually have to go straight to the center of the castle.
Moving on to Section 2, the Vault, focusing on mathematical encryption.
Back in the day, security was basically just slapping a password on a computer and hoping for the best. But today, the real heavy lifting is done by asymmetric encryption. We're talking algorithms like AES or RSA. Now, it's not magic, even though it totally feels like it. It actually relies on mind-bending mathematical complexity. Think about finding two colossal prime numbers, hundreds of digits long, and multiplying them together. For a standard computer to reverse engineer that math without the key, you're literally looking at billions of years.
So, in practice, asymmetric encryption uses two different keys. You've got a public key which you can safely blast out to anyone in the world to encrypt data. But then, you have your private key. That is kept as an absolute, closely guarded secret, and it's the only thing that can decrypt the data. It's a total game changer because two people who have never even met can communicate securely without ever swapping a secret beforehand.
All right, Section 3, Walls and Sentinels.
So encryption is absolutely crucial, but it's really just the strong box inside the vault. To protect the outer perimeter of our digital castle, we need gatekeepers. Enter firewalls. The massive engineering challenge here is writing rules that block the bad stuff without clogging up legitimate, everyday traffic. They pull this off using something called deep packet inspection. Basically, they don't just look at the envelope, they read the actual letter inside to spot attack patterns. And standing right alongside those firewalls, we have our sentinels, intrusion detection and prevention systems.
Now, how do these sentinels actually spot trouble? Well, they use two main tactics. Signature-based detection is kind of like a most wanted poster. It flags malicious activity using a massive database of known threats. But anomaly-based detection, that's where things get super interesting. It learns what your normal network behavior looks like, so if something suddenly goes off script and deviates from that baseline, it trips the alarm. It takes some serious statistical analysis to tell a real sophisticated threat from a random network glitch.
Let's zoom out a bit for Section 4, Architecture of Resilience.
You don't just build walls, you build a system designed to take a hit. First up is segmentation. By breaking the network into smaller, isolated zones, you contain breaches. It is exactly like watertight compartments on a submarine. If one section floods, the whole ship doesn't sink. Then you have the principle of least privilege. Basically, you give people the absolute bare minimum permissions they need to do their jobs. It drastically limits the blast radius if a single account gets hacked. And finally, we have redundancy.
Redundancy isn't just having a backup server in a closet somewhere. Take DDoS attacks, for example. These are designed to completely overwhelm a system with massive traffic until it just buckles and crashes. Surviving that requires a globally distributed infrastructure with failover mechanisms that can absorb, route, and filter that colossal traffic spike without missing a beat.
Moving on to Section 5, let's talk about the zero-trust paradigm. So we've had a massive vibe shift in cybersecurity. We used to rely heavily on the castle and moat approach. Basically, if you made it past the moat and into the network, you were implicitly trusted. But the internet is way too messy and interconnected for that now. Enter the zero-trust model. In this paradigm, absolutely no user or device is trusted by default. Period. Imagine a security guard who doesn't just check your ID at the front gate, but checks your ID at every single door you try to open inside the building.
To actually pull off a zero-trust model, engineers rely on a constant, super granular verification loop. First, you authenticate the identity. Next, you authorize the context, like why are you trying to access this specific file at 3 a.m.? And third, you encrypt the data. It's an endless cycle relying on complex identity and access management systems and, of course, multi-factor authentication.
Finally, let's wrap up with Section 6, the future battlefield.
The fortress is built, but the arms race literally never stops. The future battlefield is wild. We're talking AI and machine learning trained to sniff out subtle anomalies that signal zero-day exploits. These are attacks using vulnerabilities no one even knows exist yet. Then there's homomorphic encryption. This is a massive leap where a cloud server can theoretically process your data while it stays completely encrypted. Add in trusted platform modules, baking security right into the physical silicon of our devices, and the absolute headache of trying to secure billions of smart devices in the Internet of Things? Yeah, it's a lot.
But honestly, the coolest engineering principle behind all of this innovation is philosophical. It's adversarial thinking. Cybersecurity professionals aren't just IT builders. They are strategists. They constantly try to think exactly like the enemy, running penetration tests to proactively break their own systems before a hacker does.
The source material we're looking at actually sums this up perfectly. The digital fortress is not a static monument. It is a living, breathing entity, constantly adapting, learning, and defending. I mean, that hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures the dynamic nature of this field. It is a continuous, never-ending loop of human ingenuity.
So I want to leave you with a thought to chew on. As our computing power explodes, so does the attacker's potential arsenal. Quantum computing is on the horizon, and it poses a massive, existential threat to our current mathematical encryption algorithms. The race is officially on to build post-quantum cryptography, but the real question is, can we build those new defenses before our current walls fall? It's proof that our digital fortress is never truly finished. Thanks so much for hanging out for this explainer, and keep your curiosity locked in.